and all that.
Impossible to be even out of your parents' house. I think your question should be, what's wrong with Singaporeans?
We have to bring the discussion today to an end, the interesting discussion. I don't know how much ground we have covered as far as finding a solution to the driving is concerned, but perhaps we could end by just asking each of you whether you think that the Singaporean driver is just not properly trained, whether they are discourteous, or whether they are actually aggressive drivers, and whether there is hope for them.
Is there a hope? Yes. The hope is, as what you mentioned earlier, you try your very best to abide traffic rules, try your very best to follow the speed limit. And if you can, because this is my practice, and I was a dangerous driver before, but I managed to change my attitude, my way of driving, and
Why?
now...
Why? How? What happened to make you change?
Oh, family, that's first thing.
It wasn't fines.
No, wasn't fine. Okay, in fact, yes, I was revoked. My license was revoked. That was in school, way in school, because young and dangerous. You know, we tend to like speed, enjoy the passion. So that was me. But now I've changed a lot because ever since I've married and kids and all that. So, and I'm in this line whereby I have the opportunity to watch a lot of accident videos and look at statistics. So I can see the pain, the inconvenience, and the suffering after an accident. So I tell myself I don't want to go through all that. So what am I going to do about it? So what I do is I follow what the traffic police advise. Keep the speed limit, drive defensively.
And Kirsten, the angel of hope for Singapore drivers.
Oh, I think there's always hope, and I just, based on my experience in Singapore and in driving across the world, I find, at least I feel safer in Singapore.
You do think we are good drivers, right?
I wouldn't say we're good drivers. There are plenty of flaws, and Morag and I would probably agree on 95% of them, but I don't think, compared to other places in Asia, like Hong Kong or Beijing or New York City or Cape Town or Madrid, that the Singaporeans are worse drivers. I think, actually, I feel safer on the roads here in Singapore.
Okay, I think there's a multitude of factors that account for the change in Singaporeans' driving behavior. I think one is we are becoming more cosmopolitan, more affluent. In that, Singapore we get some of the newest cars first, including high performance cars, and that leads to another can of worms about younger drivers not being able to handle high performance cars, more temptations to go faster with the cars, wanting to show off the cars. That's one factor. Also, the sophistication of technology means we keep playing for phones during the cars. You check your Instagram, you check your Facebook, during traffic jams, you surf, you chat on WhatsApp. All these things, and also the kiasuism is still there. I mean, buying a car is just so expensive in Singapore, so there's this form of entitlement that some people take, like, I kind of own the road. I mean, the car is like, it's like your own world. I mean, we dig our noses in the car. I mean, I don't. I think some people feel that comfortable in their cars. So in that sense, they just feel that, this is, why should I give way to you? I paid this much for my car, so I feel that I'm entitled to do whatever I want on the road. We're getting more stressed. So like what he said, we go rushing here, place to place. You pack your schedules here. We have so many different types of classes. You want to bring your kids to all the different things you want to do. You pack your meetings back to back, and then you start rushing all over the place. And why must I give it to you? I have 2 minutes left. And then there's the roadworks part. You can't get to the place that you want to get to in that specified time. And then that's also because our car population is increasing, and the road growth, you'll never have enough road. We're that small. Our population is increasing, whole combination of factors, and so I just feel that it all just come into one at the same time, and people are just not willing to accept the change or even admit that we need to do something about behaviors. Yeah.
How about you, Kerin?
I think there's hope when we try and we learn to be a good driver, and when everybody do their part in being a good driver, the number of good drivers or safe drivers increases in the island. And I believe, we said in the US and the UK, when people they can stop on the road and then allow the pedestrian to cross, I think it's because the environment allows them to do so. And when we say I think we need to create that kind of environment in Singapore where we can give way to each other, and when we can practice this. So I think it all begins with ourselves, and more we hope that more Singaporeans will be better drivers, and we can grow Singapore into that kind of environment where we can see that happening. Yeah, so I believe there's hope.
Eleanor.
I hope that there is hope because no, because I'm so proud of Singapore. I hate having to admit that we are worse than any other country at something. I don't think it's good enough to not be at the bottom of the pile. But I think the worst aspects of our national culture come out when we are driving. So we become really kiasu. We're afraid of losing out to other people. We're afraid of communicating with other people. You don't. Maybe that's why we're not courteous, because we don't say thank you to people in shops, so we won't wave when a car lets us in. We don't have the courage to say, no, I'm going to assume the middle of the two merging lanes because that's the right thing to do. And no, I'm going to stop at the traffic light, or I'm not going to cross into the yellow box because that's the right thing to do. I would never dream of bullying another driver into doing the wrong thing. But, that happens. And I think we don't have the courage to say, no, I refuse to do it. I'm going to do the right thing. You can honk your horn at me as much as you like, but I'm going to do the right thing. I think Kerin's right. We need to, it's very easy to just say, oh no, I'll get out of the way and let you speed past. But no, I will do the speed limit and I will do the right thing.
I think we can give more grace to other drivers too.
Okay. Morag.
Our roads are not chaotic. They're well signed. Markings are clear. The winter devastates. You must know in the States, it devastates road markings. You can't see them half the time. We have no roads that are not lit. The moment you get out of a town in any other country, it's pitch black. So we have absolutely no reason not to be good drivers.
So do you think we are discourteous, rude, or aggressive drivers, and do you think there's hope?
I think we are dangerous drivers and we are very unskilled. And I can only hope that there's hope, Eleanor, because, Singaporeans, they, I think they try to do things well, as a general rule. Our bad driving is just an aberration. And maybe when we get the smiley faces on the road, change the atmosphere driving, maybe things will improve.
We have had a very broad range of very useful comments from our speakers. But if I can just pick just one idea from each of them, which I thought would be useful, and to string them together. From Faisal, he spoke of the need for defensive driving instead of aggressive driving. And I think when we drive defensively and consciously all the time defensively, our roads will be safer. I think from our Angel of Hope, she already thinks that we are all right, that we are not that bad, and we should just continue the way we are, and perhaps to be more conscious of how we behave on the roads. But there's not that much room for improvement, or there's not that much need for improvement. From Cheryl, I think she made the important point that owning a car does not mean you own the road. So you can drive the car, but don't behave as if you own the road and try and drive as if that's your grandfather's road. And Kerin feels that the change must come from within to improve our courtesy, and I think that Eleanor feels that we must start doing the right thing and not be afraid to have the courage to do the right thing, even if we say not switch lanes and all that and people honk us. We just have to maintain what we believe is road courtesy. And finally, to Morag, I really like her idea of positive encouragement rather than punishment, and that to encourage people with smiley faces, and rather than finding them, to tell them you're doing fine. And I think probably this positive encouragement will make a world of difference in modifying our behavior. And perhaps the last thing which I could add is that if there is a gap between the instruction phase and the actual application of a driver, and we need to ensure that they do not forget all the useful lessons that they have learned from the driving instructors, there should be some kind of transition program so that they remember what good driving is about. Thank you for being with us, and thank you all for joining in the discussion. Good night.